able to view the games. And of course, congratulations to all our athletes on doing very well. Kirani, of course, getting the bronze at the men 400 meters. Congratulations, Kirani, and of course to all the others. It is a pleasure to welcome back my very dear friend, Dr. Sonia Nixon. Doc, good evening and welcome back.
Good evening. It's nice to be back. It's been 2 weeks since Tokyo.
Yes.
And it's probably a good thing. It's a good thing we just had Tokyo because a lot of what we're talking about tonight would produce people like those who went to Tokyo.
Oh, definitely.
Because our Kimberleys and our Kiranis and
Kurt Felix and Anderson Peters and
Andy Peters and all the rest. So
right.
What we're going to talk about tonight is us being able to look at those young people as role models that we'd like to see our children come out as, not as athletes, because all of us can be athletes, but lifestyle, health, being able to be productive, to study, to we'd have diseases like Kirani has had. Things would happen, but if we're in a good state of health, we may be able to overcome them.
Oh, like he did.
He did.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
like
yes.
a champion.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So this evening, folks, we want to look at childhood and adolescent health. Now, that is very, very important. And, of course, that in a significant way can determine how healthy a child can grow. Now, children don't just grow like that. They don't just happen. It's a process, a very important process, a process that requires a lot of care, a lot of attention, and all that goes with it. And of course, it starts with the parents. So, Doc, tonight, my first question to you. We need to raise a healthy child because we are concerned about the nation down the line. We don't want a nation of defiant, unhealthy children. We want a nation that can produce children that can be moral models and become champions and could become good examples. Exactly, down the line. So let's talk about what is involved in doing that. And I want we starting, as a friend of mine say, let's start from the start.
From the beginning. So, yes. but this is a cycle, right? It's a big cycle. So I remember when you do things, your grandmother tell your dog don't make cat.
That's right.
So you are where you come from, directly.
Yeah.
So if we think about having healthy children, we got to think about having healthy parents. Okay.
Yes.
When so procreation, childbearing, making families should be something that we should really do very consciously, something that we have to be prepared for. So, for example, our women, our female of the species, must always be healthy during their childhood life. When you're born as a girl, you have all the eggs, all the ova or eggs that you would contribute to having a baby that you will ever have. It is therefore important that you don't contaminate them. You have them there. You keep them under good conditions. You make sure you eat healthily. You make sure you don't use hard substances. You make sure you don't drink alcohol and all the other things. You make sure nutritionally you're okay, so that when you're ready to give up an egg, or when an egg is going to be taken up in order for you to deliver, to produce another human being, this is a real healthy egg. Yeah, and there are challenges. We have children who are born with genetic disorders and all the rest. We have people with Down syndrome and other things that will happen. And that will happen in the mechanism of the two, the sperm and the egg coming together. Things are going to happen, right? But we have to give our children the best chance we can at them being normal. That's the most we can do. Give them the best chance of them being born healthy and normal. Okay? So it has to do with being a healthy male. So you can say, this woman bear children, woman carry children. No, but you provide us the sperms, right? What if your sperm, you work in a toxic environment? Any toxin that goes into your body is likely to contaminate the sperm as well.
Right.
If you drink, if you smoke, all of those things, right? those are likely to contaminate whatever part of your body you can identify. Not the least of which is the testes and the sperms that lie within. So it's very, very important that we ensure that in order for when we're going to have children, we are healthy people. So young boys need to be healthy, exercise, stay well, right? Eat well. And above all, be also emotionally well, because that also contributes to the baby you're having. A child who grows up in trauma has challenges. A child who lives in an environment where there are infections and other things is likely to have illnesses. We are looking at, this is years ago, we're talking about mental illness, severe schizophrenia in the people of Windrush, the people who went to England, right, and had children. And even if they didn't have mental illness in their family, because often mental illness can be identified in families. A lot of them had children who were born in England who had mental illness. What did they identify? They identified that a lot of the children, the pregnancy or the first trimester, those first 3 months that are very important, especially in the formation of the brain. The brain is the first thing that's formed, in a fetus. A lot of the women who had their first trimester pregnancy, remember we get the flu and other infections during the winter months, the fall and winter. The women who were pregnant during that period had children with a greater risk for having mental illness, because the brain gets infected by the same viruses that get into the mother and cause her to have a cold or have the flu or whatever it is. So it is very important that as carriers and as producers, female and male, know that they have to keep their health, be of the best possible health so that we can have healthy babies.
Right. And, I'm listening to you, and you said initially it is a cycle. And then, I'm hearing you saying, look, well, we need to have healthy boys, but we also need to have healthy parents to make healthy boys.
And the cycle goes around.
And the cycle goes around. It's like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? But
the chicken and egg usually on the same plate.
On the same plate. All right. Yes, indeed. So, of course, you have healthy parents. They will bring forth healthy children. So you bring forth a healthy child. Does it stop there?
And I want to go before that, because there's one thing about a woman getting pregnant. There's another thing about a woman going through a healthy pregnancy. Now, I'll tell you what, as elementary and as simple as our healthcare system is, there are facilities for every single woman to have adequate antenatal care during pregnancy. And we have to make use of that. I think we talked about that before.
Yes,
right? We have to make use of it. We have to make sure that when you miss your period, you go to the doctor. If you think you may be pregnant, you go to the doctor. And some women, unfortunately, we still have situations where women turn up to deliver. Right? Oh, my last baby, they have 6, 7 people. My last baby was fine. But there are so many things that can go wrong. All right? We don't want a woman to develop high blood pressure in pregnancy, because what happens, once you have high blood pressure, the baby tends to suffer. The blood circulation towards the baby tends to be compromised. Women who develop diabetes in pregnancy, and it can happen, not because you're doing anything wrong. It can happen. It's one of the things that can happen. They also have babies that might be born very big, or who also develop the risk for developing diabetes, because that's stressing the management of their glucose while they're in the uterus, right? So you want to make sure all of this. You want to make sure you don't have mothers who die and who have strokes and who miscarry and all the rest of it. And yes, miscarriage is sometimes a normal part of it, okay? Because sometimes fetuses that aren't properly formed, right? Your body eliminates it. That's just how nature works.
Okay.
But you want to make sure that you don't miscarry because you're not healthy enough, or we don't identify that the cervix in a woman is not good enough, because you want to have that little baby, it's on the way already, let's take it. We want to make sure that you get your antenatal vaccine. So we want to make sure you're tested for diseases like HIV and syphilis, right? You want to do all. They want to make sure you're tested for diseases like sickle cell, right? Those are diseases that mothers can transmit. Sickle cell is a genetic disorder. It comes in the genes, Syphilis is passed on in the blood. right? You want to make sure that the woman doesn't have syphilis. You want to make sure that she doesn't have, what did I tell you, HIV?
Yes.
Because we have been able in the last 20 years, HIV infection started in the mid-80s. That's when we identified it as an epidemic, okay? As a new disease that we never knew, just like we do it with coronavirus today, but we didn't have as much social media, thank God, right? But HIV has, in the last 15 years, let's say 10 years to be very, very, very safe, right? We have been able to eradicate mother-to-child transmission of HIV. Right. So babies who are born to mothers who have HIV no longer are born with HIV because we take this prophylaxis. Yes. You check the woman early, and there's medications that they get during the pregnancy. The babies are born by C-section. They don't breastfeed. Those are the things, right? So that this baby does not get the virus of the HIV transmitted to HIV, which causes AIDS, of course, transmitted to the baby. So all of those things, because you don't want to have a newborn that have HIV, right? You don't want to have a newborn who's born with congenital syphilis. It causes brain damage, permanent brain damage, and challenges in the respiratory system, challenges in learning, and a whole lot of it. So we want to make sure that we have a child who, just like his mother and father, should be healthy to create that healthy circle. Okay, that healthy cycle. In the case of sickle cell, we have antenatal early. As you're born, they test you to see whether or not you have sickle cell, so you can be managed early throughout. Right? Let's say, for example, a couple, two people who are having a baby. Mother doesn't get antenatal care, but she carries a sickle cell trait. Father doesn't get tested, but he carries it. Well, he don't get tested because she don't even go to the antenatal care. So don't imagine, right? Because if she went and she was identified, they'd call him and ask him to test to see if to see what the possibilities are for the child. He has a trait, he doesn't get tested, nobody knows what's going on here. The child is born with sickle cell. Something that we could have prepared the mother for, during pregnancy, that this is what's going to happen. You may have a baby that might be bigger than normal, that have abnormalities, physical abnormalities, so that people don't have surprises at birth, all right? And we will have things that we don't consider normal for a normal child, but we should be able to identify that we're having problems early. We don't want to turn up at the hospital, a mother who turns up at the hospital fitting. Yeah, they might be able to do a C-section and save the baby, but you don't want a baby to be born without his mother present. What if she dies? Okay, so those are the things we want to ensure, that a woman gets identified early as being pregnant. She goes for her normal follow-up. She gets her tetanus vaccine, because that is also important to prevent what we call neonatal tetanus, to prevent the baby from getting tetanus. So when he's born, he already has his coverage from tetanus. We use instruments, we use all kind of stuff. You want to make sure that the baby is not exposed to that, right? And of course the other things. So you also want to make sure that your mother eats properly, right? That she doesn't get obesity. She doesn't. We can't. So you might have a woman who seems to be gaining weight. You need to gain a certain amount of pounds during pregnancy. But you might be gaining pounds and the baby not growing. So you need a doctor or your nurse to identify what is the status of this baby. The doctor must know whether the presentation of the baby, whether the head is down or the head is not down, so there are no complications, and that is why you go to the clinic. Now we have access to ultrasound that can tell us exactly what's going on. What if you have twins? You want to know that you're having twins before. No surprises. Triplets, we want to know, right? And the more the babies you have in there, the more important it is for you to get professional care. Yes. Right? And those are the things, because we don't want your baby, one of two babies, to be born with brain damage. That's not going to be a healthy child. We want to make sure that you've had your vaccines, so your child you don't pick up German measles, which can cause severe deformities in our children and can even cause death, because some of the malformations that the children are born with are actually incompatible. You can't live with them. right? So those are the things we want to make sure that we have a healthy mother. But then you don't want to have a mother who's been abused physically or sexually, or don't have food to eat or where to sleep, and walking up a long street and, mentally ill and not being cared for and all of that. So those are the things. You want to create an environment where the woman is cocooned and taken care of, and she has support so she can give birth to a healthy baby physically and emotionally. And then you want the baby to be born in a hospital setting, right? We have some instances, yes, where they're birth, but the people who supervise the pregnancy, who are there, are people who are trained to do so. So you don't want to go home and say, well, I have 5 children already. You understand? You want to make sure that even if it's the 6th one and you want to have it at home, you can ask the midwife to come and supervise you. Because the more children you have, the greater the possibility of having hemorrhage, of bleeding and bleeding to death after pregnancy. Okay, after delivery. So you want to prevent all of those possible complications that can actually complicate the life and the future of that child.
Okay, excellent. So I want to go back to the question I was asking. All right. So yes, we have healthy mothers or healthy parents. They bring forth a healthy child. Does it
in a healthy environment?
In a healthy environment. Does it stop there? So a healthy child is born.
No. When you're born, first of all, you're born in a hospital, right? Where you born?
You're born in a hospital, and so the mother takes a child home.
But before you leave the hospital, you're tested for sickle cell. You're given your hepatitis B shot.
Yes,
so
all that has to be done is done at the hospital. At birth. So everything is done. So now you take your nice little bouncing baby boy or girl, and you on your way home.
So you're gonna now hopefully put into practice a very important practice that you've been taught, you've been advised, and that's breastfeeding.
Right.
Very, very important. So I'm going to give the bad news that the World Health Organization asks that we breastfeed 6 months exclusively. You give nothing else but breastfeed. And most of our women can. They think they can't, but yes, they can. They just need support, and they need support and education, especially younger mothers. Most women can actually breastfeed. The law here says that you have 3 months maternity leave, right? So during that time, you should have some time to spend with the baby and to feed him appropriately. The World Health Organization also says that you should breastfeed for 2 years.
But Doc, a lot of our young women, they don't want to lose the fullness of the bust and all of that, because when they put on their leotards and their tight piece of navel breaker, they want those boobs to stand out there and all of that, so they don't want to breastfeed.
The boobs will drop anyway.
They're going to drop anyway. Okay.
That is. So, people worry about what my titty going to look like when I breastfeed. It is going to look like I have given life. I have sustained life. That is what breasts are for. The rest of it is collateral benefits that people like you might enjoy. The truth is, and we like to look nice aesthetically, that's us, that's okay, right? But that's the purpose of a breast, to provide nutrients, especially for the newborn.
A Calypsonian said it's a fountain of love.
It is a fountain of love. I'm trying to remember where I saw a woman recently. Oh, she came into my office, young mother, had a baby who was almost a year, that she was breastfeeding. Like a boy walking and stuff, right? More than a year. He had just turned a year and like about 2 weeks. And he wanted his breast. Because she's home, it's COVID time and she's home with this baby. And I said to her, let me see her breastfeed. And she put him on lip comfortably. She's young, but she's accustomed to doing this, right? And she put him up. And I said, she put him on this one breast. And I said, so where did you breastfeed the last time? She said, on the other one. I said, start on that one. And she looks at me like, really? I said, start on that one and watch the other one. So she started, she put him on the first one, he's there and he's coming. And then I went to the breast and I squeezed and because there's all this milk spewing. A fundamental point that she should have been taught, she wasn't. You start on one. Let's say this is the first time you're breastfeeding. You start on the one. And then you go to the other one, because while you're doing this, the whole letdown happens and the other breast gets full.
Right.
The baby for 3 minutes, go on the other one. And then that one have a lot of milk. This one is going to get back full. but you keep on breastfeeding him. But remember, this is really full. He can't drink all that. When you're going to start, you start back on the other one, on the last one you had. Give this one a chance of full, and you finish him here. Baby full and drunk, right? It's important. We have been pushing for breast friendly. We're part of the World Health Organization breast friendly hospitals network. I know that the hospital has been certified as a breast friendly hospital. You're actually not allowed in the past when women are going to hospital to have their children, they have a tin of milk. That's actually illegal. You can't enter the hospital with artificial feed. Are there babies who need artificial feed? Yes, there are. Okay? There are babies who would need artificial feed. There are babies who need special feed because they have genetic disorders or other illnesses that require that they get specially formulated feed. But most of our babies can benefit from our breast. The thing about breastfeeding, there are lots of good things. What do you think are some of the advantages of breastfeeding? Just off the top of your head.
It can prevent disease in children.
Well, first thing that it's cheap, okay? Let's get ready.
Well, I am concerned about health.
It's cheap, and especially what we need to do is really encourage our women to feed themselves properly and stuff during that time. But it's cheap. It's there. It's at a perfect. It's always available if mother's right there. It's always available to baby on demand, right? It's nutritionally sound because that little thing, that yellow thing that comes out, colostrum that comes out in the first few days, are among the most fundamental elements that you need for the brain and for preventing diseases, so the child don't get colds and you don't get other diseases that are around that his immune system is not yet accustomed to dealing with, right? It's cheap, it's right there. It's perfect temperature. You can get it on demand. You don't have to wash no pot. Guess what? It's good for a relationship between mother and child. You don't have to. The baby runs less risk of getting diseases like colds and gastro and stuff because you don't have to wash bottles and handling. Once the mother performs proper hygiene of the breast, the child doesn't have to take a bottle that a fly might pitch on and cause him to get gastro. So and if the baby picks up a gastrovirus by whatever means, there's the milk to soothe it. To help, yes. It's the perfect nutritious compound for the baby, and like I said, it's always available, so you don't have to buy bottle. And so from an expense standpoint, it is the best thing that we can give to a baby,
right? And also, so we're going for 6 months.
That's all your baby should have for 6 months.
Okay. But you can go beyond that.
No, they ask you to do it for 2 years. By 6 months now, you can start to introduce other feeds, right? Other things. One thing at a time. A little soft potato or some people put in porridge, but it's in the baby belly not full enough. If we feed in the baby, okay. But there's other things you can add, right? And usually you can get that kind of direction from your nurse in the health center. If you go to the pediatrician, tell you what you can introduce. Just remember that when you're introducing new foods to a baby, you have to introduce one thing at a time and wait for a couple of days. So if you're going to give him, well, I'm not a white potato advocate, okay? I don't think we should eat white potato. Really makes your sugar go up fast and drops quickly. But a little bit, let's say we give him a little bit of potato. I'm just saying, right? You put a tubs of butter in there. Or you give him some egg. You have to use you can't give white of the egg until the baby's a year. So the yellow, you put a little bit on a spoon, make him taste it at first, and wait for 2-3 days, make sure he doesn't have any nutrition, any reactions. And so you introduce foods as advised. And the truth is, I see people buying baby food, Heinz and all that in supermarket. Excuse me? We have organically grown food. We have sun-ripe fruits and fruits. We have organically grown vegetables. Why are we buying food that in a bucket, God knows how long it is, that have expiry date on it?
On that note, let's take a short break. Let's take a short break. We're going to be back in just a moment. Don't go away, folks. Stay with us. We have a lot more to share with you on child and adolescent health. We'll be back in a moment.
Get high making money moves with the NLA's new Aces High Scratch game with 4 chances to win. Beat the dealer's card to win the prize shown. Reveal an A symbol. And just like that, you are automatically a winner. Scratch away to win the top prize of $10,000. Win easy with Scratch. Must be 18 or older to play.
Good evening and welcome. It's time for the National Lottery Authority's Daily Pick 3 Evening Draw for today, Tuesday, the 10th of August, 2021. I'm Lexanne Fletcher and I'll be your draw hostess for this evening. I've got Ms. Josanne Clark joining me. She's representing PKF Accountants and Business Advisors. Ms. Clark is here to ensure the games for this evening are conducted in a fair and accountable manner, that the game balls have not been tampered with and are within industry standards. Don't forget, with the Pick 3 game, you can bet as little as $1 on inline, mix and pair tickets and from $2 on backup tickets. Let's find out what the winning numbers will be for this evening. It pays to play. Good luck. All right, and the first number up is 8. Second number 9, third and final. Third and final is 8. All right, it's time to recap. Double check your tickets. Numbers on the screen. First number was 8. Second number 9. Third and final 8. Congratulations if you're a winner this evening. And we hope you've got your tickets for the Playway Draw. That comes up next. We'll see you then.
Tick, tock, toe. I win.
Feel like a big kid again when you play NLA's new scratch game, Tic-Tac-Toe. It's instant cash on the go. Reveal 3 X's or 3 O's in the same row, column, or diagonally, and win the prizes shown, or as much as $5,000. Win easy with Scratch. Must be 18 or older to play. Tic-Tac-Toe, please.
Give me a tic-tac-toe, please. Tic-tac-toe, please.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. It's time for the Playway Draw for this evening, Tuesday, the 10th of August, 2021. Joining me once again is Ms. Josanne Clark. She's representing PKF Accountants and Business Advisors. Quick reminder with the Playway game, all you got to do is bet as little as $1 up to $10 or in increments on any number or dream symbol of your choice and get to win 24 times the amount you bet. That's $24 for every dollar spent. Let's find out what the winning Playway number will be for this evening. Value your dreams, win your way with Playway. Good luck. And this evening's winning Playway number is... The winning Playway number for this evening is 15. That's 15. The dream symbol, lizard. Just repeat tonight's winning Playway number 15, 15, and the dream symbol is lizard. Congratulations if you're a winner this evening, and don't forget, we've got the cash for a draw right around the corner. Get your tickets out. We'll see you then.
I'm a winner, you are winner, we are winners.
It's the big one. Grenada. Imagine winning $25,000 and up to 6 times by scratching just one little ticket. Get your triple cash scratch tickets for a chance to live your best life. Win easy with Scratch. For just $3, match any of your numbers to any of the winning numbers and win the prize shown for that number. Reveal a money back symbol and win the prize instantly. Triple cash scratch in stores now. Must be 18 or older to play.
Cause I'm a winner. From the moment that I get up, I'm feeling right.
Welcome back. It's time for the daily cash for a draw for this evening, Tuesday, the 10th of August, 2021. Ms. Josanne Clark is joining me once again. She's representing PKF Accountants and Business Advisors. A quick reminder, as always, with the cash for game, you can bet as little as $1 on most of the bet types, with the exception of backup, in which case you bet $2. Let's find out what the winning numbers will be for this evening. It's more plays, bigger prizes. Good luck. First number up is 1, second. Second number 4, third. Third number 1, and the final number is 9. got to recap. First number was 1, second number 4, third number 1, and the final was 9. Congratulations if you're a winner this evening, and of course we want to urge you to go on out there, get your tickets for tomorrow, Godswill, and do continue to support sports, culture, and nation building. Have a good night.
With more, with the NLA's Daily Cash Fall. Every day, with more plays and bigger prizes to be won. It's a 4-digit game with all the bet types you already know and much, much more. From 0000 to 9999. Choose your 4 numbers and place your bet from 11 different bet types. Choose from inline, 4 different mixes, first 3, last 3, and 4 different backup options too. Best of all, it starts at just $1, except for backups, which starts at $2. Win as much as $5,000 with a $1 inline bet and as much as $6,200 in a $2 backup bet. Imagine $50,000 for a winning $10 inline bet. There's definitely more to win with the Daily Cash 4. More plays, bigger prizes, twice per day, Mondays to Saturdays. Must be 18 and over to participate. NLA, making your dreams come true while supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Welcome back, folks. It's Dr. On Call, and Dr. Sonia Nixon is with us. Just in case you just joining us, and we're looking at childhood and adolescent health. The first part, we spoke about the neonatal part of life, the early neonatal part of life, and we just touched on breastfeeding and the introduction of other foods to the baby, ensuring its health. Doc, as we continue to introduce the child to other foods, of course the child would develop a taste. Then there would be changes starting to take place. The child would start growing teeth. The child would start walking around. First they would start to walk on their belly and then go up on their knees. And then they would try to stand up. I remember in the early days there used to be a band in front of the door where the child would go and hold and stand up while mommy outside working or doing things like that. So you see all these changes taking place. And child is growing. Now at that stage, let's talk a bit about that. What's happening here, what is required, and so on and so forth.
You're talking about a baby who's on creeping and walking around and stuff?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So we should have added other foods, other solid foods, other things, okay, into that. Some people give their children porridge, some give them food. By the time the child is a year, the child already should be eating out of the family pot.
Okay.
So it is therefore very important that the family pot is healthy, right? You don't want your child, you talked about flavoring and taste. You don't want a child to become accustomed to high salty food.
Right.
Because it sets them up, okay? You don't want your child, we don't want to be giving our children sugar-sweetened beverages. I cannot figure out why we import sugar-sweetened beverages, import boxed juices from country that don't even have fruit, and we have mango-making dog. I simply cannot understand. So you go into the store and there's all these very pretty boxes, and these countries I've been to, they don't have no fruits there. They import fruits from us and from other islands. Yet they're providing juices that we buy and give our children that are very, very high in sugar, right? That predispose our children to death and obesity. And then going back, because I want to talk about breastfeeding again, because breastfeeding is known to be one of the single most important tools in preventing obesity as children grow. If you give them that base where the milk has the perfect composition, breastfed baby look nice and chubby, you know. By the time they start walking around the house, all that chubbiness goes and you have this nice, healthy, lean baby. Breastfed babies don't do not, like I said, they don't get gastro and those things, right? You have healthier baby. But when it comes to obesity and all of that, children who are not breastfed, we tend, the milk, if you taste the milk, have you tasted infant formula? There is sugar put in there, right? The other things we give our children to drink, what? Sodas, the ugly juices, whatever it is. You can give a child a piece of mango to eat.
But Doc, there's a tendency that if your baby's not nice and fat and bouncy, the baby not healthy. You want a nice baby with fat cheeks that you can kiss up and you can bounce the baby and you can, all of these little things.
So breastfeed him. You get a perfect one. I mean, they get all the creases and all the things that we like to see, but breastfeed does that.
Okay.
And the truth is, I'm not going to trivialize breastfeeding. It's very important. But also, what is important with breastfeeding is making sure that we provide support for women who are breastfed. If we're going to say 6 months, breastfeeding, maybe do we have to change the laws to ensure that women have access to their babies for 6 months, exclusively during those first 6 months? That's a debatable thing. Maybe in the whole childhood obesity policy that is being developed, that's one of the things that we move to have, the government look at legislation that will enhance the postnatal environment enough that women can be around. But we who are cousins and sisters and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers and aunties or whoever it is, this woman who has a baby, or to that baby, have to ensure that we can support people. So we have to make sure that there's a comfortable space, that there's time for her to breastfeed the baby. If you work outside with your husband, you can't come on one food in a cranky baby that wants to be breastfed most of the time, especially if a woman doesn't manage it, she doesn't have the technique yet for breastfeeding. You have to be like a patient. Go make your cup of tea or warm up your food in the pot. All right? Do something, help, so that the baby's feeding can be a quiet, comfortable, reliable experience. Okay? You might live in a house where there's a big family, one little stool, give her the one stool, let her sit down and breastfeed the baby. Luckily in Grenada, we don't have the whole issue of, you can't breastfeed here, you can't breastfeed here. Because trust me, I see a lady walk around in church with her walk around inside the church during the service, breastfeeding the baby. Just walking around. Yeah. Nobody said anything. I'm probably the only person who's spoken about it because I found it remarkable. I was like, I almost had culture shock because I got to a place where it's saying, but you have to cover your face, you have to put a tent over your head, and all the rest if you're going to breastfeed your baby. That just be a comfortable thing. A woman needs to breastfeed. She sits in a corner, and she takes her boobs out, she cleans it, and she breastfeeds her child. Right? So we have to make that comfort available again. We have to take away the taboo or don't allow it to perpetuate in our environment that breastfeeding is, what you doing? Breast is a means of carrying the baby's food. That's where it is. Mommy becomes milk trained, right? So we as a community have to learn to support and encourage, above all, our young women and our mothers, all mothers, to breastfeed so we can have healthy children who don't have to go to the hospital every 2 weeks because they have physique or whatever they have. We have to make sure that we can enhance healthy people that will come out like Kirani.
Oh yes, definitely. So we're moving. That child is growing nicely, and we know at the toddler stage, the child is getting ready to go to school. Getting ready, as they say, getting ready to go to ABC. That's
so remember remember, the other thing you have to ensure, because remember we're trying to prevent disease and down the road, right? Right. So, remember too that we want to make sure that our child has good dental health care. Unfortunately, a very large, probably like 80% of our children have caries. I know the dental services are really working to try and reverse that thing, toothache. We have to avoid that. So the Jamaicans, for example, have a thing they call the cavity fighters club. I was there from probably 50 years, okay? And it's a thing, every Saturday morning it's on radio. So children understood, right, how important it was to make sure you don't have cavities. It had corporate sponsorship, and that's what we want. I know the people here who do Colgate does support that dental care program, but parents have to be involved to ensure that once a child has his first 2 eruptions, that the services, he goes to the dentist so he can be taught how to clean it. So he can go when he's, like I call it, in the goo-goo gaga stage, when going to the dentist is a pleasant experience, right? So it never becomes an unpleasant episode in the child's life. So he never has a toothache. So he never needs to put on prosthetic teeth while he's young because they have all like a roast corn below and he can't eat anything and you can't take them out, right? Our children shouldn't be walking around with roast corn teeth. Sorry. Right? Because there are services. So mothers, just try and remember, babies 2 months, and mothers should have done that during the antenatal care as well, because we tend to lose calcium and possibly lose teeth as we go through antenatal period. So if mommy is going to the dentist, she'd understand what's the importance of having her baby go to the dentist. So that thought, I want him to be able to go to the dentist, but you want him to run up and down and play. Mm-hmm. You want him to be active. You want him to be physically active, right? As early as that age, we give our children handheld devices. I'm not saying not to give your child a handheld device. Don't give him for the whole day. He has to develop other relationships with other people around. Even if there are no other children in the house, he must establish conversation with his grandmother, talk to his grandfather on the phone, talk to his mother, play games, run up and down, play whatever, I don't care. Bat and ball, whatever it is, other kids around, play. Okay, children have to get into the habit of playing. It makes you breathe, it makes you laugh, it takes away stress. You ever play children's game as an adult?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I tell you, when you were in medical school, you see, when stress takes us, you go and play. Who stole? I'm serious.
Yeah.
And you laugh and you laugh and you laugh and you breathe, and the stress is gone. Everybody go back and study. So, for the same thing, you look at children, how they laugh and how happy they are, and they don't have, they don't have bad thoughts about one another and stuff. There's no enmity because they play and they rub up and they hug up and this one is my friend. And those are the things you want to enhance, that mental stability. But at the same time, we have to provide that in our homes, that our children don't suffer abuse, sexual and physical and emotional neglect, that our children don't experience that, as we're going to have dysfunctional adults, right? That our children are not in a home where people smoke, that triggers off their asthma, that our children don't have access to picking up toxic substances because they see about drinking a bottle, you put some bleach on the corner, child drinks it and puts itself at risk, or some gramazone in a corner. It happens, and it happens in a lot of environments. So those are the things. Make sure your child is safe. Make sure your home is safe. That they don't have stones in the grass where he's going to play and all the rest of it. That he's not near to the river where he could go and walk and go and drown and all the rest of it. Because children at that age, our children are no longer dying from infectious disease, and we talk about that. They're dying from other things like trauma, injury, gastroenteritis, things that we can actually control. So we have to be very aware that we need to prevent our children from being in an environment that is dangerous. Vaccines, again. So you would have received a certain amount of vaccines up to in the first year of life, and then you have some boosters that come when you're about 4, okay? And I know vaccines are very topical, but vaccines are very important. Vaccines make adults, you hear? We talked about this before, that how people died. We have vaccines against measles. Measles can cause you to get brain disease. And we have vaccines against mumps. Mumps can cause you to get brain disease and can make men infertile. I've seen it happen in my recent times when we had mumps in adults. Vaccine can make you get pneumonia, can prevent pneumonias. Vaccine can prevent disease like rubella, which is awful, which makes you have brain disease and makes you have some very severe heart disease and other physical developmental disease. Vaccine prevents hepatitis B and also cancers of the liver. Vaccines prevent HPV, but that is in a little older age. So we have to make sure that our children follow the program of vaccinations, so in order that they can have a healthy early childhood and subsequently have an adulthood.
You mentioned play just now, and I think that is so very important because aside from just having fun and laughing and all of that, it keeps you healthy. Because your body gets strong. Of course, sometimes you fall down, you bruise the knee, you bungs the toe, all of that. It toughens you up a little bit. Yes, aside from the pain, it does help you to, it helps the process. All right?
But it helps coordination and muscle tone and strength and all the rest of it. Right? Because I've seen some kids, they start school and they've been so accustomed to just sitting and playing with handheld, they can't even walk straight, can't carry their bag and their books because we don't allow them to develop their muscles and, develop their hand-eye coordination and all the stuff that happens when you're out there playing and talking to your friends and touching and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. So the playing part of it is very important. What about mental development as it relates to the child's cognitive abilities? So
there are milestones that your child is expected to reach, and therefore that's one of the reasons why you have to take your child to the Well Child Clinic. There's a time by 2 you should be saying more than blah, blah. You should be able to make short sentences. Mm-hmm. You should be able to put on your pants. You should be able to identify, more than identify, how about the conversation when your grandmother comes? Know who's your grandmother from who's not your grandmother. You should be able to feed yourself. So those developmental and milestones, they come at different stages, right? Some children come earlier, some will come a little later, but generally under the bell curve, most children should be able to do certain things at a certain time in their life.
Right.
So by 1 o'clock, your child should be up. By 1 year-old, you expect your child to be up and smile, knows his grandmother. He probably can say a few words. By 2, he should be speaking short, clear sentences. Okay? He should understand when you say, go bring me your pants. Right? Already you should teach your children. He should know, by 2 he should be able to say what his name is. He can say his alphabet. Mm-hmm. He can count. He knows to identify from 1 to 10. He probably can count up to 30 if you push all of those things. So there are milestones that your child would reach. And by taking your child to the WellCare Clinic, they should be able to identify whether the child has it. If you have a 2-year-old who's not sitting up, you should have recognized at a year. Because at a year, a child should be standing and walking. So there are lots of things. It is very, very important that the child goes to the Healthy Baby Clinic. So that nurse can identify their child. You say, nurse, I realize that he's not... Teeth, I want to tell you that teeth is not a measure of development. You say, you don't know teeth, you're 2 years old. That's not a measure of development. Teeth is not considered. We'd like you to have, a lot of enough teeth, at least 8 teeth in the front at the age of a year old. But if you don't have it, if the child doesn't have it, don't feel so bad. He should get it. For the most part, they do. And some children teeth early, some children teeth late. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, but the other things, the psychological part of it, a child should respond to pain. Yes. A child should respond to hot and cold. Yes. Those are things. And because there are children who have diseases, have conditions, they're very rare, where they don't understand, they don't feel pain. The children who don't sleep. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right? You must understand when our children start having nightmares. You must understand the symptoms that children manifest if they're being abused. Because it's there. So we have to have eyes wide shut. Yeah. And it is very, very important. It is said that sexual abuse in infants, that infants actually store that information. I talk about infants who are months old. Mm-hmm. That information is stored in their brain and affects their life as they grow up. So you might have a child who becomes very belligerent, a child who's rude and disobedient, and you're like, what is it? I give you everything. Everybody else in the house is, and the child has been a victim of sexual abuse from very small, that she can't verbalize, and her brain still doesn't know what it is. She can't tell it because it's happened so long before she could articulate that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. She doesn't remember, but her brain has already been traumatized by he, and there's also he, okay? He or she. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes we think that sexual abuse in the child is only in the female.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have to look at for boys who having challenges as well, and often they even more scared than the girls to tell.
I just want to
and
move.
It's harder to,
I just want to go beyond that because I was going to ask about the general safety of the children at that age. Of course, the abuse is a big thing and a very serious. As we get into toddlership and so. So the child is growing, and the safety. So, for example, you want to ensure that the home is safe, so the child won't be falling down the step or falling off a door at the back of the house, or
climbing the stove and pulling on the hot water.
Right, things like that.
Digging out the plugs out of the wall, putting a pen in there because he doesn't understand. So we really have to say. Injury-proof a house, make a home safe, be aware. Children like to explore. So daddy might come home and be fixing electricity legitimately, but little John might think, I can do what daddy do, and take the same screwdriver and stick it in the thing, and that's the end of his life, unfortunately. So we must also, and then you can communicate to the children and says, no, this is for daddy to do, not for you. Okay? And then you need to put away the screwdriver. You don't just drop it and go and let it and sleep. You go and finish the work that you think you are doing. There's a whole, I can try this, right? So we have to lead by example as parents. And I did talk about the poisons and the other things that children might want to do. Go drink alcohol and take our medications. You know, your medications you put in a place where children can't access it, right? The other thing is sometimes I think the whole TV thing, we allow our children, I think, way too much TV. And there are other activities that we can make our children do in order so we can enhance their creativity. I'm not saying don't let your child watch TV. I'm just saying don't let the TV be the babysitter. Because sometimes that's what we actually do with our children.
Right. So Doc, let's take our final break. When we come back, we'll open the telephone lines. And then I also want to touch on a very important aspect before we wrap for this evening. So we take our final break, folks, and we'll be back with you in just a moment. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Introducing Color by Sissons. 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 Color by Sissons.
Valley Pharmacy offers both wholesale and retail pharmaceutical and over-the-counter products. We have the most competitive and affordable prices. We are the agents for Vit Plus multivitamin for healthy everyday lifestyle and Sonatogen powder. Hills and Valley Pharmacy supplies the best quality, name brand clinical products such as Rescue Oil, Bio Oil, Neutrogena, Aveeno, and Clarisil. We offer the most convenient opening hours. Our telephone numbers are 435-6904 or 6903. Remember, at Hills and Valley Pharmacy, your health is our business. We care.
Now open Hills and Valley Medicare Center, your one-stop for medical supplies, massage therapy, physiotherapy, and an in-house physician. At Hills and Valley, your health is our business.
You're already ill and have no time or energy to walk every which way to access your healthcare needs. So come to Spice Isle Imaging on the Carenage for a one-spot stop for all your health service needs. See our in-house doctor and get your meds from the pharmacy right on location. Digital X-ray, MRI, CT scans, mammography, ultrasound, and laboratory services are also available. So for that moment when life makes demands on you, you can make demands on us. Visit us at Spice Isle Imaging, Carenage, St. George's.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable, and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
And Valley Pharmacy offers both wholesale and retail pharmaceutical and over-the-counter products. We have the most competitive and affordable prices. We are the agents for Vit Plus multivitamin for healthy everyday lifestyle and Sanatogen powder. Hills and Valley Pharmacy supplies the best quality, name brand clinical products such as Rescue Oil, Bio Oil, Neutrogena, Aveeno, and Clarisil. We offer the most convenient opening hours. Our telephone numbers are 435-6904 or 6903. Remember, at Hills and Valley Pharmacy, your health is our business. We care.
Now open, Hills and Valley Medicare Center, your one-stop for medical supplies, massage therapy, physiotherapy, and an in-house physician. At Hills and Valley, your health is our business.
GBN, in association with the Grenada Development Bank and the Agricultural Shop, presents the GBN Exclusive, Taking Agriculture Forward, a two-part 2-hour forum on August 11th and 18th from 8 p.m. on GBN Television 7 and 11, K105 FM, and on all GBN's social media platforms. This forum will discuss primary agriculture and opportunities, agricultural extension and support, challenges facing the sector, and policies and food system sustainability. Join us on August 11th and 18th as we speak to the experts on taking agriculture forward.
Looking for that injection of vibes and energy, of course? Well, I've got just that. Hi, my name is Gary Mr. Smooth, and I'm inviting you to join me on the Hot Morning Show on Hot 98.5, 98.7 FM. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 10 in the morning. I've got a healthy dose of your favorite and most infectious hits sampled with information, news, laughter, and all the other ingredients that go into making the hottest morning show on the radio. The Morning Heat. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit us up on WhatsApp, 435-7517. We've got topics, we've got discussions, calls, voice notes, and so much more. But I can't tell you everything. You gotta tune in. The Hot Morning Show on Hot FM 98.5, 98.7 with yours truly, Gary Mr. Smooth. Kaboom!
No, that's not how you cross the pedestrian crossing.
Really? One day I just woke up and I saw pedestrian crosswalks on the road. No one really showed me how to use them properly.
Well, this is how it's done. You never cross before doing these things. They might save your life. First, when you get to the crosswalk, you stop. You look left, you look right. If there's a vehicle coming, you put your hand out, making eye contact with the driver, indicating that you want to cross. And only when the vehicle comes to a complete stop, you quickly cross to the other side.
Stop, look, hand out, eye contact. Wait for pedestrian to cross to the other side, then you happily continue on your journey. This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
Welcome back. It's Doctor and Call, and our telephone number 435-2041. We're inviting your calls at this time, 435-2041. Doc, let's go to the telephone line. Doctor and Call, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Call.
I have been listening to the doctor, both you and the doctor, all along. Now, under normal circumstances, and when I say under normal circumstances, a wife gets pregnant, okay, goes to the doctor, goes to clinic, etc. Why is it that the father doesn't go to see the doctor too. This question might be sounding out of place, but could I get some response from the doctor, please?
Sure. Doc?
So that's a very interesting point, okay? And I don't know if he said, I don't know if he means, but I'm going to address it either way. I don't know if he means that you shouldn't, that the man is not allowed to go, or he chooses not to. But you hear people talk about we are pregnant. A pregnancy is an event that a couple goes through. And I think, I don't know if it is that men don't feel invited, but it's good. It's good for support, and it's good for the emotional stability, both of the mother and the baby, to know that they feel invited. What I know is that still in the public sector, we don't really allow men into the delivery room. But in the private hospitals, a gentleman can be there with his partner during delivery. And that's something we have to go to, because I think it creates it's good for the integration of the entire family. Maybe our friend who called should, start encouraging men. I think it's a very good thing that men should be encouraged to accompany their partners to their antenatal visits, to their, you go to the ultrasound, you go to do your bloods, whatever it is, And of course, when women have to exercise too during pregnancy, you go for a walk together, that kind of stuff. So it's just a habit we need to create among our men, that they support our women when they go to get their checkups. It's very important. I know that women appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. I do believe it is something that most men should do. In fact, they should be present at the delivery room and actually be part of the actual birthing of the child. I do believe that.
I heard that's also the presence create very good contraception. Because after a man has seen the challenge a woman endures during a delivery, he often doesn't want to put his partner through that again.
But I also believe they would better appreciate and pay more attention as it relates to the upbringing of the child. Yeah, I think that too is a very important thing. So
there's something, before you go back to the telephone, there's one other thing I wanted to bring up in relation to our children's nutritional behavior. As a child gets older, he gets more independent and is allowed to make better choices. So what the food industry has done is direct advertisements to these young consumers. So you have all these fancy ads on TV, posters. When you go to the supermarket, you see some monsters on the sugar sweetened
on the packaging and so
on the packaging. They use the characters from movies, from their favorite cartoons and stuff, right? And it's often to promote food that is not good for our children. So I'm going to ask families to start focusing on the issues of packaging, especially front of package labeling. It always already exists, but read the thing in the back as well and see how much sugar is in there. If the sugar, leave it alone. So, for example, our children can't have sodas. A child should not have soda, right? 100 ml of soda contains a whole lot of sugar, and that's ordinary sugar. That is like a bomb on your pancreas. By the time you get to my age, you don't have any pancreas because it's worked so hard trying to deal with the amount of sugar that you've had to digest, you've had to use up in your system. So I'm going to ask you to keep the ears open for front of package labeling. I'm going to ask people to remember that when a child goes to school, it's okay for them to have water only in school, right? I'm not saying don't give a child a glass of juice. I'm not saying that. But some people give their children juices. I know a young man, and he's in his 20s now, who would drink a gallon of orange juice a day. On top of it, he's vegetarian and doesn't eat vegetables. He just don't eat meat by religious conviction. But he's vegetarian, he says. But they eat chips, they eat, you understand, lots of chips, they eat nuts and stuff, and they eat a lot of pizza. So you're going to buy cheese pizza or veggie pizza, they put veggie cheese and then they have that, right? But that's not usually, he's obese, he has hypertension in his 20s. Those are the things we have to be very aware of as parents. Because what we're doing, when we teach our children to eat like that, and the amount of salt that comes in pizza.
Oh, yes.
Okay? And when we teach our children to eat like that, it's okay to give a child a piece of pizza as a treat every so often, but it must not become, it's okay to buy the food that comes in the boxes, in the pretty color boxes and stuff. It's okay if you go out to a fair or somewhere and they have chicken and chips. You can give the kid once in a while, but that must not be standard foods. You have to ensure that your child eats properly, because we already do have a population of children that are obese and that are going to develop the diseases that we don't want them to have by the time they're 25.
Right. Let's go back to the telephone. Dr. and caller, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, caller.
Good evening. I totally agree with the doctor. All the rubbish that the supermarket is selling to harm our children, I'm advising the parents to leave those foods.
I'm not hearing.
All the rubbish that the supermarkets are selling to harm our children, I'm asking the parents to leave it in the supermarket.
Thank you, sir.
And I agree with the doctor in what she is saying. And this should be done on a government level as a policy. We can't be living careless in Grenada, and we are harming and killing our young people. Our children, that's our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, and thank you, sir. And thank you for that very impassioned monologue. I think we need to hear that. And this is a father. Thank you very much, sir. No. We recently, and it's not yet put out there, had a consultation in the last 2 years, just before Corona. Last year, we had a consultation on childhood obesity, and we about finishing present a plan, right? And among it is going to be the importance of having policy that contains what we feed our children. Okay, the Minister of Education has already said no sugar sweetened beverage in school, and people can say what they want about the legal this and legal that. We have to figure out the reason for saying it. Take the message, okay? The message is that we really should just be giving our children water to drink. If they get accustomed to drinking water, they will never go back to sweet drinks because it feels offensive after. If we give our children low salt food, I'm not saying to take all the salt of their food today. I'm saying to start cutting it down. In Argentina, for example, when they tried to decrease salt, and I may have said this before, I just want to reiterate, when they decided that they were going to cut down salt, they could have done a national policy and say, okay, you're not allowed to put more than 5 grains of salt in a pound of flour when you're making bread. And those populations eat a lot of bread, right? They went to the manufacturers and says, how can we do this together? Let's give ourselves a timeline, and let's give ourselves a schedule for decreasing the amount of salt in the bread. And the bread companies started decreasing the amount of salt over a given period of time. People didn't even recognize that the salt was coming down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Bread sales did not drop. Guess what dropped? Blood pressures. So if we teach and enhance the way our population should feed itself and behave, because exercise is very important as well, okay? If we teach and enhance the way our population should behave, it becomes a natural part of things. You know, I was thinking, when I was a little girl and my father go down to Nutmeg and buy a chicken and chips, you know that, right? You know that was luxury, right? But one chicken and chips and one Coke, share for me, mommy, daddy, and my 2 brothers, and everybody glad they get how much fries. You're giving a 5-year-old a 2-piece with biscuit that is extremely salt, a pack of fries that have a lot of old oil that's going to enhance that's going to really make their cholesterol do badly, and a whole soda or whole sugar sweetened drink. And we don't understand. It's a treat, but it's too many treats in that one treat.
Mm-hmm.
The volume, which is the other problem, is what we have. Is what is also a big problem for us. So we need to understand and follow the directions as to how we should feed our children, because that obesity thing is going to be a big problem in the next 20 years. It already is. We're seeing children who are adolescents having elevated cholesterol We've seen children who are adolescents having elevated blood pressure. And we've seen children who are adolescents being 13, 14, 15, that kind of adolescents, right? That we say you're supposed to still have mother's milk on your mouth, right? Because it was really eating healthy, like, right? But we're seeing these children having diabetes that your granny should have. We kind of don't have a lot of money in the kitty, so we need to make sure that our people remain healthy. The other thing is that our adolescents are not encouraged to exercise. I am not saying to go out there and exercise and train like Kirani. I'm saying get active. Why are children getting bus fare to walk up to Convent and PVC, to get up to Convent and PVC from downtown? Right? Why do our children have to drive to go everywhere? Why, if you work in St. George's down in town, your kids can walk the hill to school in the morning? Why they can't take the bus and walk the 200 yards home? We're still a relatively safe environment. Why don't families get out and go for a walk? Well, we know how it is on the road, but where there's a little place, play in your yard. Run up and down and play cricket and laugh and breathe and enhance the relationship we have in our families. Because there are a lot of challenges. Next week, we'll probably talk about adolescents, which is a big problem for us, right? They have a lot of challenges. They require a lot of support. And sometimes as families realize, we think our children are independent. They are more dependent on us than we think. Okay, they're more dependent. They have greater ability or more opportunities to make decisions, but sometimes the decisions they made are incorrect because we have not taught them. How do we make decisions for how you eat, how you keep safe on the street? Do you do drugs? Do you not do drugs? Those are the things that we have to look at, right? Because this is holiday time, and I see some children that nearly bounced me down the mall today, and I'm like, oh my God, have mercy on us. It bothers me a lot.
Doc, you mentioned this, and it just touched a nerve. Let me just take this last call, and then I would raise that issue. Doctor and call, good evening.
Oh, yes, it's me again. Now, Doc,
turn the volume up.
You mentioned something there, excuse me, and I think the solution to all of this, the good book says, train a child the way he should grow, and the comment on adult, you wouldn't part from it. The thing about it is this, today, we are working for, good salaries compared to, 9 times the pound, shilling, and pence. And people feel, right, okay, so-and-so could, Mary could take the bus and go. This is all nonsense. Walking from home to school, if you're not, say, staying in grandaunt's or the case may be. It's good exercise. You can observe, you can all the rest of it. But people today think, I have the money, I'm driving to go to school, which is all nonsense. And as a result, as children walk, they can observe and all that sort of business. Parents are responsible for that kind of thing, obesity. Just name it. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, caller. Now, Doc, talking about children, and we're getting close to wrap-up time, and the kind of safety and care and attention and protection they need. Over the last 2 days, it has really bothered me. Really bothered me. When I see children, and when I say children, we're talking about 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds.
Children who should be with their parents.
With their parents, with tar or old oil on the skin, in the middle of all caliber of obscenities. Now, mind you, and I probably may get criticized heavily for saying that. Now, in recent times, I have heard a lot of talk about having sex offenders registry and all of these things as it relates to abuse of children and all of that and all of those things. And I have no problem with it. But my question is, I have seen people, and I look on Facebook, and I know some of them, a lot of them, because they are regulars. They are faithfuls for Facebook. Right? Who come down on men for abuse and what they do to children. And these same faithfuls are on Facebook now promoting the very same kind of behaviors that can lead to what they have been fighting against all along. How hypocritical and how double standard can we be in this nation? What's your thought on it? I mean, children jumping up in jab band with oil on their skin, all sorts of obscenities.
So I think the last 2 days have been one of the most unfortunate periods in our recent history, because I believe in people's freedoms, but freedom comes with responsibility.
Yes.
And whether or not we want to accept it, those of us who have not yet accepted it, I'm going to remind you that coronavirus is real. And I read an article this afternoon where almost 99,000 children in the US are currently diagnosed positive with coronavirus.
Yes.
And this is very sad. The children who cannot be vaccinated, right? And some, in the US, they have started their 12-year-olds vaccinated, right? And it is very sad that there are so many children who have coronavirus and who are very ill. Children, some of whom are going to die because we have chosen not to listen to the counsel. So what you're saying for me is not just jab with oil and children 6 and 7 years being on the road for 6-7 hours and dehydrated, right? Because that's one of the things I purport a lot during Carnival. When we talk about safety during Carnival season. Physical safety, when you put your children in a band of people who are hyped psychologically, and we know how mobs behave. If the police were to go in there and everybody's had to stampede, the children at greater risk for being injured.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There were no psychological boundaries with the amount of obscenities. Children walking around saying the same thing, women scantily clothed with children around them, people gyrating in the street, and just this wanton lack of boundaries. Guess what? I'm not telling nobody yes, play jab, no play jab. The bottom line is that there's coronavirus out there. And if you're not going to protect your children, if you're not going to protect yourself, at least protect the children, because we still have responsibility for those who are under 18 years old. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I pray to God, and I pray that we don't have a spike in coronavirus infections after this. I pray, God. There are people who wish it happen. I do not wish it happens. But I'm going to ask people to take into consideration one thing. What is my responsibility? I can't tell you what to do. I won't tell you what to do, except to behave responsibly, which includes being exemplary to the children in your community, protecting the children in your community. You can get coronavirus if you want to be over 18. I don't care. That's your choice. Okay? But you have to protect the children among us. Right? You can't be up and on the street just ranting bad. It just don't look good on us. I think Grenada looks so base, right? I don't think anybody in the world who like jab more than me. Just that this is not jab time. This is time for us to be sensible people.
But I love jab. I love jab.
Nobody loves jab more than me. And I looked at the vehicle from St. Mark's, and they were all masked, and it was just a small group of them. But the mobs I saw, and there was some in September this morning, and in St. Andrew yesterday, broke my heart for us as a nation.
I mean, the behavior of some people, and you know what annoys me? Some of these people are the same ones who cry out and lament the treatment of our children. And here we are.
Put our children in danger.
Yes, here we are now. For what? I ask myself, what is the reason? Is there a specific motive behind it? Why?
No. I think we're just not thinking straight.
Let's take our final call, Doc, before we wrap for this evening. Doctor and call, good evening. Hello?
Hello, is this Vivian?
Yes, it is.
Doctor on call?
Yes, caller, go ahead.
Good evening. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, caller. We're hearing you.
Okay. My concern is mainly the drinks that is coming from Trinidad almost every week. Who drinking them? That's one question I have to ask. When you look at the loads of drinks that's coming from Trinidad, just Trinidad, I ain't talking about them other places that come in barrels and so forth, things with all kind of things for dressing food and all these things. And our children are consuming that. Today I watched some young children having two bellies, as you would see. Now, Godfrey, as you know, it, when we're growing up as young children, still on a Sunday we might get a piece of yard fowl. But today, meat become, as an African doctor say, he's saying Grenada. When you go to the restaurant, you're asking for meat, not for food. So you either ask for beef lunch, a chicken lunch, a fish lunch. So it's not about food, it's about meat. So everything is about meat and them. So these are the things. And you see, our society is so hypocrite that what for the religious people to be doing to show that they are loving in Christ and things, they're not doing it, you know. They are, even in the church, they are supposed to be telling people and telling children and so forth, parents, how to grow their children. They're not doing that. All they're studying is money. Grenada is all about gimme, money. Them politicians themselves, they don't show no example. And when you have leaders that not showing examples, or people are going to follow them, they are the ones who suppose. When I growing up, people had a lot of respect for politicians. Now, show me a politician. If out of all of those around Grenada, if people are respect for two, they don't have respect for three. Because their lifestyle, their behavior, their language, everything about them is not children-friendly. They sit among children, they drink and talk all kind of old talk, and they think them trained and listening. And so we have a society that is hypocrite and rotten. And it's only a matter of time when something like you see, like COVID is going to break out and put all of us back against the wall. That is when we go catch ourselves. Something has to put our back against the wall for we to realize to ourselves that we need to get up and because we have enough local food, we have all kind of things that we can give our children. Once you train a child on something, he grows up on it. I know a young farmer who grows his children eating all them things in the garden. One day when they go to they go out and people start giving themselves drink. They only vaccinate out because they already know it's not good because the farmer trained his children not to drink them. You understand? So these are the kind of problems that we have and I think they must stop the hypocrisy about children, protecting children. Nobody don't protecting children. People only working for the money, so they have to do their job. So they're doing it in the name of children, but they're not protecting children.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Yes.
So I only heard about the origin. It was a little muffled some of the times. I'm sorry, sir. But it seems to be an older gentleman, and I appreciate his concern for our young population. The youth of our population. Mm-hmm. I heard him ask about drinks. Where the drinks go? All the drinks. Is that
yes? He was asking all about, and he's talking about the sodas that is coming in every week. Where are they going? Who is consuming them?
No, ask how we get there because we sell all our fruits to Trinidad and we take back drinks. And this is just a very important question, right? Why are we exporting our fresh fruit and buying sodas? Why are we exporting our fresh fruit to Trinidad and it's bartering for the most part? There's not a lot of money. Trinidad money doesn't really leave. We buy sodas and we come and sell and make money here. And it's actually being consumed by our younger population. Yeah. We are consuming too many sodas. I think a study had showed that our children consume on an average 4 sodas a day each. That's a lot of soda. That's a lot of sugar. It's just sugar in there. But I want to just make a couple points quickly. One, in relation to what the last gentleman said, it still takes the village. The village yesterday took our children on a bad trip, and today right? But it still takes a village to raise our children correctly. We have to do it collectively. It's our collective responsibility. And a village is not necessarily if you live in Moya or you live in Namur or you live in Bolio. That's not where it is. A village is the people around us, the people in our communities that enhance the life, our life, and must be in a positive light. Okay? 2, somebody mentioned earlier, one of the other callers mentioned that we're making more money. Yes, our life is, financially we're a little better off. I'm going to tell you about in the past, we buy one chicken. One chicken and chips.
Chicken and chips. Shane for 4 people.
For 5. What's wrong with you?
All right.
5 of us. And 1 Coke, share. But the truth is, we have to ensure that economic viability we have is that we now have acquired is not our downfall at the end of the road. Your children don't have to have a box of chicken and fried chicken and whatever else comes with it, chips and all the rest every day. No, they don't. They really don't. It must be a treat. It must be something else they do. I'm not saying not to have it, but I'm saying even the cakes and the drinks and the stuff that you give our children too much of, they don't have to have it every day, right? Mm-hmm. Our value system, we have to review. We definitely have to review our value system in relation to everything. One of the things, for example, we still have this negative tendency towards agriculture. In this time of a pandemic, guess what? The ports have been closed. I can tell you, for example, in the case of medications, because we've had stocks, we have not been able to get some medications coming to India because of pandemic. So some of the drugs that patients use, you have to substitute another one for it, right? Simply because things are not available, right? Trade, things have changed. Things have changed. In the same way, we have to think about land. Our land is not going anywhere. What are we going to plant? What are we going to provide ourselves to eat? And again, we say it every day, plant a bottle in Grenada, it goes because the soil is so fertile. We have to remember that agriculture is still going to have to be the mainstay of how we're going to feed ourselves, right? Not sodas, not other artificial drink. And because I have money does not mean that my children must get sodas.
That's right. Doc, that's all the time we have for this evening. Oh boy, it's always such a pleasure, having those discussions. We've had quite a couple of comments on our Facebook page and our WhatsApp platform. Someone has said, good night, I'm watching from Trinidad. Someone asked about the symptoms to look for in an abused child. There's an interesting one. Someone is asking about breastfeeding a child for 6 months when maternity leave is only 3.
But we talked about that.
Yes.
And we talked about policy development, remember?
Yes, we did. So I want to thank all our viewers on GBN TV and, of course, our listeners on K105, our friends on Facebook and on the YouTube channel. We thank you very much for staying with us. You can join us next week. We continue our health discussions, all in an effort to get all of us to understand the importance of living healthier lives. And if we live healthier lives, we'll be living longer lives. And I want to live really long.
I still would like my 30 seconds.
Sure, you will. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I want my 30 seconds to remind us that coronavirus is real. Even if we haven't seen it around here very much. And that, believe it or not, your vaccine is your most important tool. All the things you've heard and made you not take a vaccine, you might be sorry that you didn't. I really wish that everyone would consider it as a viable option. We yesterday and today we broke all protocols by going out there. I'm sorry, I don't hear anybody in this country say let's do masks. Why aren't masks wearing masks?
No,
you cannot spite the people who lead this country. Everyone has a responsibility for his own self. I was very disappointed that people have been going out there. When you walk, right? When you walk in a jogging situation, the air you breathe out it travels further. When you're walking and you're singing and you're dancing and it's hot, it goes even further. All we needed yesterday was one super spreader, somebody who spreads that virus among everybody to everybody that they meet and they're asymptomatic. I'm going to still ask you to think about it. Think about it as saving your own lives and saving the well-being of your family. I would hate that you carry coronavirus home to your children, since that's what we're focusing on. But I'm going to ask you to please consider, for your love of yourself, love of the family that you live with, that you please consider the coronavirus vaccine. Took mine 3 months ago. I'm still sitting here. I don't feel any different, and I'm still not picking up magnets. I don't know why.
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday morning, I was listening to ABC News, and they announced that just a little over 50% of Americans are fully vaccinated. And we're talking about millions of people.
300 and about 50 million Americans. So that means 175 million Americans have had the vaccine.
Yes, can you imagine that? But we, nevertheless, folks,
please consider, talk to your friends. Those of us who already had a vaccine, talk to your friends, encourage them, because we have to protect ourselves. Vaccines save lives.
They do.
The rest of it is really just foolishness that people are talking and trying to discourage us. I know there's some religious organizations that have been discouraging their population. I don't know how they're going to take care of you if you do get coronavirus. But the bottom line is that coronavirus is real, and we have lots of tools. Hygiene, wearing your mask, staying away from people, and getting your vaccine.
Yes,
May I get it? I might, but guess what? I wish tonight I should have sent that slide for you, showing two different lungs. A lung of a person who got infected even after they had had their vaccine, but the lung was still full of air. The lung, on the other hand, of the person who did not have the coronavirus vaccine, did not have any air. There was no space in there for air because there was just so much secretions and consolidation in there. Muck in the lungs, literal muck, and lung tissue dying. There's no place for air. And those are the people that probably are going to die. And I don't want anybody to die. God in heaven knows. I really wish we could all get through this, but I'm going to ask you, one of you tonight, consider doing this and asking your friends to get their vaccines.
Doc, thank you very much. I just want to remind you folks before we go, tomorrow evening, join us at 8 for the first part of our agricultural forum as we discuss issues on taking agriculture forward. There's a very, very close relationship between agriculture and health. Doc mentioned it earlier this evening, so join us tomorrow evening and next Wednesday evening for taking agriculture forward. Also, don't forget, this Friday, We Culture is back. So we'll be talking to you about a lot of things, all right? So thank you very much once again, and until tomorrow, please God, do enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you, and
good night, everybody.
Good night. Yes.